Okay, so the A, B, C, D, E for your case study, we're on the D now, so dietary information. So how are you going to get the marks for this in your case study? Well, first of all, you're going to calculate estimated energy requirements. If you have your weight and height and date of birth from the A section, then you should be able to calculate estimated energy requirements. You might you need to include what equation you're using for your estimated energy requirements. So the Henry-Oxford equation, Schofield equation, Cunningham equation. So are you using one that includes the percentage body fat? Are you using an appropriate equation? I would suggest that if you don't have percentage body fat, you use the Henry-Oxford equation. Unless your participant is overweight, then the Mifflin-St. Jeor equation may be more appropriate. If you have percentage body fat information, then I would use McCardle-Catch or Cunningham. So make sure you have to calculate estimated energy requirements. It's such a fundamental of a dietary intervention. The next thing that you want to do is you want to get dietary information. So capture what are they eating at the moment. And in big writing here, you've got accurate dietary information. So we can take this in a few different ways, but it's so important that you make sure that this is accurate. So, or as accurate as possible, because it's difficult. It's very difficult to gather dietary information. So you could use a 24-hour recall using the 5-pass method or the multiple pass method from the USDA. You could ask them to complete a 3-day weighed food diary. You could do a snap and send where they send you photographs. It's up to you. You could use a food frequency questionnaire on top of your 24-hour recall to get a better grasp of other nutrients. But make sure that it's accurate. Don't submit a case study that has a diet history that is clearly inaccurate, where somebody apparently doesn't have butter on their bread or milk in their tea, or doesn't even drink milk or tea or coffee or any beverages. Beverages contribute to our energy requirements or energy intake, so you have to gather that information. A 3-day food diary where somebody hasn't had any chocolate or sweets, it's pretty unrealistic in the 21st century. So make sure that it's accurate. So what you might find is when you do your analysis, you are estimating the estimated energy intake from your dietary intake tool, whether that's your food diary or a recall, and there's a big gap between the estimated energy requirements and what you've calculated they're intaking. So is that accurate? Sometimes it is. Your athlete is completely under fueling, but sometimes you just didn't get all the detail from their diet recall. People tend to under report, and particular cohorts of the community tend to underreport. So go back, look at that information. What you could do at postgraduate level certainly would be a Goldberg's cutoff to assess whether you could show that they're underreporting. At undergrad level, go back, ask your athlete again. Let's just go through your 24-hour recall one more time. Or let's do another one. Did you have anything to drink with that? Were there any snacks? I'm going through my forgotten foods list. So making sure that the dietary information is accurate. So with that information, you're going to be asking the questions, is estimated energy requirements or are estimated energy requirements being met? Okay. Are they meeting their calorie requirement? That is the number one, that's the bottom of the pyramid, the most important question that you ask first. If they're meeting their energy requirements, or if not, then we want to look at their macronutrients, fat, protein, and carbohydrate. Are they meeting the macronutrient requirements? The next thing we want to look at then, what about their micronutrients? And specifically, particularly for young athletes, we probably want to look at iron and calcium and make sure that you're using the correct RDAs. In nutritics, if you're doing this through nutritics, what you might find sometimes, depending on what RDA you're using, make sure you're using the right RDAs there. So what about things like vitamin C and folate, that give us an idea of their diet quality? Are they really low? What about omega-3 maybe? And of course, bear in mind that if you've got a 24-hour recall and nobody ate fish, then they're probably not going to hit their omega-3, but they might hit it later in the week if they have fish at another point. So just getting a good idea of their dietary information. And then you might also just look at diet quality. So are they eating 5 to 7 fruits and veg in a day? Is it whole grains? Are those proteins, lean sources of protein, or are they actually loads of processed foods and processed meats? So when you're looking at the dietary information, you need to make sure that it's accurate. You need to estimate their energy requirements and their energy intake and look at the energy balance. And then you also want to look at macronutrients, micronutrients, and diet quality. These things initially, when you look at them, you might identify that there's a really big issue. As you move on, speak to your client about their goals, you might have to let some of the issues go and say, while my athlete wasn't meeting calcium requirements, in fact, their energy balance was way off. So that was a higher priority goal at the beginning.